In the fading light of a war-torn Europe, where the thunder of artillery echoed like the heartbeat of a dying giant, one weapon emerged from the shadows to rewrite the rules of combat. This is the story of the Sturmgewehr 44, the German assault rifle that shattered the old ways of warfare and forged a path into the modern age. But this isn't just a tale of steel and fire. It's the raw, unflinching account of the men who wielded it, drawn from the diaries and memories of those who stared death in the face on the blood-soaked fields of World War II. Picture the Eastern Front in the brutal winter of 1943. The snow fell like a shroud over the endless steppes, blanketing the frozen corpses of soldiers from both sides. Sergeant Hans Müller, a veteran of the Wehrmacht's 6th Army, huddled in a makeshift trench outside Stalingrad's ruins. His breath fogged the air as he clutched his outdated Kar 98K bolt-action rifle, a relic from the Great War that felt increasingly obsolete against the relentless Soviet hordes. "The Ivans come in waves," he wrote in his tattered journal that night, his fingers numb from the cold. "They charge with their PPSH submachine guns spitting fire, closing the distance before we can reload. How many more of us must fall before something changes?" Hans had seen the horrors up close. The siege of Stalingrad had claimed over 1 million lives, turning the city into a graveyard of rubble and regret. He was 28, a former mechanic from Berlin, drafted in '39 with dreams of a quick victory. Now, those dreams were buried under layers of frost and fear. His unit, the remnants of the 29th Motorized Infantry Division, was decimated, holding a thin line against the Red Army's T-34 tanks that rumbled like avalanches across the plains. Ammunition was scarce, morale even scarcer. Whispers spread through the ranks of a new wonder weapon, something born from the desperation of a Reich on the brink. It arrived in crates stamped with secrecy, under the cover of a moonless night in early 1944. The Sturmgewehr 44, storm rifle, they called it. Hans described it in his diary as a beast of a gun, shorter than the car, with a curved magazine that held 30 rounds of intermediate cartridges. It fired like a machine pistol, but hit like a rifle, bridging the gap we'd bled for so long. Developed by Hugo Schmeisser and his team at Haenel, the STG-44 was Hitler's last-ditch innovation, rushed into production amid Allied bombings that turned German factories into infernos. It used a 7.92 quick 33mm Kurz round, lighter than traditional rifle ammo, allowing soldiers to carry more and fire faster without the punishing recoil of full-powered rifles. For Hans, it was a revelation. His first encounter came during a counterattack near Kharkov, where the Soviets had punched through German lines with overwhelming numbers. "The order came at dawn," he recalled. "Fix bayonets? No. This time we had the storm. As the Ivans advanced, screaming their battle cries, I shouldered the STG and let loose. Full automatic bursts tore through their ranks at 300 meters, impossible with the old car. Men fell like wheat before a scythe, and for the first time I felt the tide turn." The rifle's selective fire switch was a game-changer. Semi-auto for precision, full auto for chaos. In the hands of Hans and his comrades, it transformed defensive positions into killing zones. Imagine the scene. The acrid smoke of cordite hanging in the air, the staccato bark of the STG echoing over the snowdrifts. Private Karl Becker, a young recruit from Munich attached to Hans's squad, penned in his memoir, "It was like holding lightning. The enemy submachine gunners who once outflanked us with ease now hesitated. One burst from the Sturmgewehr could suppress a whole platoon, giving us time to maneuver." But victory was fleeting. The Eastern Front was a meat grinder, and even this revolutionary weapon couldn't stem the Soviet juggernaut forever. By spring 1944, Hans' division was pushed back toward the Dnieper River, fighting rearguard actions through villages reduced to smoldering husks. In one such clash at a crossroads near Kiev, Hans witnessed the rifle's true potential and its cost. "We ambushed a Soviet column," he wrote, his words stained with the grief of loss. The STG's fire rate caught them off guard. Trucks exploded, men scattered. But then their artillery found us. Shrapnel ripped through our lines, and I saw Becker fall, his Sturmgewehr still clutched in his hands, blood staining the snow red. The emotional toll was immense. Hans spoke of the camaraderie forged in those desperate hours, the shared cigarettes in foxholes, the letters from home read aloud under flickering lantern light. "We were brothers in arms," he noted, "bound by the knowledge that this war had no mercy. The Sturmgewehr gave us hope, a sliver of resilience against the endless onslaught. Yet every burst reminded us of the lives it claimed, on both sides." As the war dragged on, the STG-44 spread to elite units like the Waffen-SS and Fallschirmjäger paratroopers. On the Western Front, during the D-Day aftermath in Normandy, Lieutenant Erich von Brandt of the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend carried one into the hedgerows of Bocage country. Erich, a 25-year-old officer from Hamburg, had parachuted into Crete earlier in the war, but nothing prepared him for the Allied invasion. "The beaches were a slaughter," he confided to his diary amid the chaos. "American paratroopers dropped from the skies like locusts, and our MG-42s mowed them down. But up close, in the thickets, we needed something versatile." The bocage, ancient earthen walls overgrown with thorns, turned the Normandy countryside into a labyrinth of ambushes. Traditional rifles were too slow for the close-quarters frenzy, submachine guns too short-ranged. Enter the STG-44. Erich's account paints a vivid picture. "We held a farmhouse near Caen, surrounded by Yanks with their Garans. They fired 8 rounds and reloaded with that infernal ping, giving away their positions. But with the Sturmgewehr, I could lay down suppressing fire while my men flanked. One night, under a barrage of phosphorus shells that lit the sky like hellfire, we repelled 3 assaults. The rifle's intermediate cartridge punched through cover at distances where SMGs faltered. Yet, the weapon's impact went beyond tactics. It symbolized German ingenuity amid ruin. Factories in occupied Czechoslovakia churned out thousands, but supply chains crumbled under Allied air superiority." Erich noted the irony. "This gun could have changed everything if we'd had it sooner. Instead, it's a desperate gasp from a nation bleeding out." The drama escalated in the Ardennes during the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's final gamble in December 1944. Sergeant Müller, now transferred west after surviving the East, found himself in the snow-choked forests of Belgium. "The Führer's offensive," he wrote bitterly. "Tanks roaring through the mist, but fuel running low. My STG-44 was my lifeline as we pushed toward Bastogne. The Americans, caught off guard, fought with dogged resilience. In one frozen dawn assault, Hans' platoon stormed a U.S. outpost. The rifle's burst mode cleared foxholes in seconds," he recalled. "But then came the counterattack, Shermans grinding forward, infantry swarming. I fired until the barrel smoked, covering our retreat. Friends fell around me, their screams lost in the din. Amid the valor there was profound humanity." Hans recounted sparing a wounded American GI, sharing a canteen in a moment of truce. "He eyed my Sturmgewehr with awe," Hans wrote, "whispered it was unlike anything they'd seen. In that instant, we were just men, weary of the madness." As the Allies closed in, the STG-44's legacy crystallized. Captured examples influenced Soviet designers, birthing the AK-47 that would dominate future conflicts. For the soldiers like Hans and Erich, it was a beacon of resilience, a tool that embodied the unyielding spirit against overwhelming odds. By war's end in May 1945, Hans Müller surrendered near the Elbe, his STG-44 tossed into a pile of discarded arms. In his final diary entry, he reflected, "This rifle changed warfare forever, bridging the old and new. But in the end, it couldn't change the hearts of men or the course of history." We fought with valor, bled with resilience, and now, in the silence after the storm, we remember. And so, the Sturmgewehr 44 fades into legend, a testament to innovation born of desperation, wielded by ordinary men in extraordinary times. Its echoes still resonate in every modern assault rifle, a reminder that in the crucible of war, even the smallest spark can ignite a revolution.